Okay, so in the previous video that I did with the PVC rabbit stands, somebody was like, you should show the whole thing. And you know what? Good point. So this is what one of the stands, PVC stands that I used to use in the rabbitry. I still have two, but I phased out most of the other ones. This one was used to hold a 30 by 48 inch cage. So as far as the distance between the different stands, my cages are 18 inches. So I did about 22 and a half inches, and that leaves just enough room that I could easily slide the trays in. That way the cages sit here, and then the trays, poop goes right into the trays, and the trays sat on top of the cage that was below. And some of the issues that I ran into that, because the cages are sitting directly on the stands and not just like hanging from the top, rabbit poop can accumulate really easily here on the sides of it. So it can make cleaning really difficult. Rabbit pee also likes to like calcify and clump together over time. So I think you can still see this is literally just calcified rabbit pee, and not too big of a deal. Now that this has been sitting, it'll come off, but when the cages are actively sitting on the stand and actively being peed on a regular basis, it starts to build up really bad, and it can be quite difficult to actually scrape off. One of the other issues that I have with these is they're pretty sturdy, but you really want to make sure. This one is one that I did not tie together. There's paste that you can get that'll connect these so that they no longer come apart. So if you're looking to make these a little bit more permanent, I would definitely get the solution that will essentially melt these together. If you're wanting to be able to take them apart in the future, you can possibly look at just like drilling some holes and putting some screws in, and that would stop it from falling apart. And then to add a little bit of stability, you really want to make sure that the bottom, the bottom is either some type of J or floor point. You don't want to just put like the top of this directly on the ground. You want that wider base. And then I also put bricks underneath it to stop it from sinking into the ground. And that helps a whole lot with the stability. But they're a really good option if you're either somebody who doesn't have space to work with wood, or you don't have a workshop, or you're just looking for something that's kind of easy to pop up really quickly. These could be a good option for you. One of the other things is you want to make sure, I don't think you guys can see it, but this has black writing on it, and one of these other ones has red. You want to make sure that you're getting the stronger PVC material. I can't for the life of me remember, yeah, okay. This is like 200 PSI, and then this one's 450. So you don't want to get the 200 PSI because that's just significantly weaker. It's cheaper, but it's a lot weaker and it's going to be a lot more wobbly. Make sure that you're getting the one that is 450 PSI because I found that one is much stronger, doesn't bend or wobble, and just makes for a significantly sturdier product. These lasted me quite a while. I think I used them for, I used them for like 2 years, and they would continue to last for a long time. I haven't had any problem with them as far as like degradation or anything like that. They've held up just fine. The biggest reason that I switched was I was just really annoyed with the cleaning. One of the things that you could potentially do, I had it as a 3-layer, so rabbit cages, and I put as third stacker on here. You could just do the cages from these top bars and hang them, and that would eliminate a lot of your issues with the poop accumulating in the corners and the pee, because you would just fall directly onto whatever tray system that you have instead of falling directly onto the PVC. But I do still have some cages on this, so let me show you what it looks like with actual cages on them. So it's sunset, so I apologize if the lighting's a little weird. This is what it looks like with actual cages on it. So this one's a little bit longer because these are 30-inch cages. So this is two 30-inch cages instead of my one 48-inch. So this total thing is 60 inches by 30. actual height, I made mine right under, so they're 59 inches, it's right under 5 foot. As you can see, I cannot easily reach into these top cages. I can reach just fine to feed water, the water here. But anytime I need to grab a rabbit out of these top cages, I do have a three-step stool. And that's what I use to grab any rabbits that are in these top cages. So that's definitely a consideration if you're somebody like me who's on the shorter side. I'm 5'3", or maybe you're just somebody who just wants to get up on a ladder. Maybe only make this a 2-stacker because it does work really nicely as a 2-stacker. You can see I have the cages just sitting on it. This is pretty sturdy, like it's not going anywhere. It'll wiggle a little bit, but it's typically not really been an issue for me. And I will say I like it a lot better for housing single rabbits. So these are cages that I would typically only put one rabbit in versus my 48-inch cages are what I use for does with babies. So these don't have as much of an issue with the poop and the pee accumulating in the corners because there's only one rabbit at a time ever going to the bathroom, and it's a lot easier to keep up with versus when I have the moms with babies who are obviously having 8+ rabbits peeing and pooping for weeks at a time as I have litters. So it works pretty well for that purpose. But I do much prefer the metal ones that I use now, which is just metal T-poles pushed into the ground, and the cages are attached to those metal T-poles because those don't move at all. But they are, you know, a bit more permanent. You can still take them down, but these are nice to move around if you did need to move them around. And they're, I'm not necessarily going to say relatively cheap because the price of PVC has continued to go up. But if you're looking for an option where you can put this together, you know, in your living room, this is something that you can do. You just need little claspers to cut the piping, and you're good to go. You don't need any specialized tools like you would if you were working with wood. And it's also quiet, so you don't have to worry about like pounding the poles if you're trying to do stuff a little more incognito. You can put these together, pop them up anywhere, move them around as you need to. You won't have any problems there. So I do like them. I still have this one and I still have that one. So I do have 2 that I am still utilizing. I'm going to continue to utilize for the foreseeable future because I have them and I've made them. So definitely would recommend them if you're renting or need something that's a quick solution. You don't want to spend money on a lot of expensive tools to mess with wood. And they've held up. Like I said, I've been using them about 2 years and they've held up fine so far. I even had, when we had a hurricane come through, I had one and it blew the whole thing over, and the PVC didn't break. I was able to just stand right back up with no problems at all. So they might be a good option for you. I've liked them for what they are. They have their pros and cons. One thing that I will say though, I put a tarp down. So I have the trays sitting on the cages, but I just put a tarp down just in case there's any stray pee or stray poop. The rabbits down below, I have a little bit of extra layer of protection there. So good for what they are. I'm gonna keep using them. Probably wouldn't do it again in the future. I prefer metal poles, but could be a good option.